Look at this beautiful sunset, people. Allah Mubarak, looks nice, huh? Anyways, today's video is very important. I'm here to talk about a characteristic that many of us have, which is a negative mindset. We don't realize that that negative mindset can actually be a characteristic of the hypocrites. And the characteristics who have this negative mindset are from the people who are in the lowest part of hell. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum. So, one of the things that I noticed that is so wrong with our brothers and our sisters when it comes to wanting to achieve anything, whether it be seeking knowledge, success in their relationships, or their businesses, or their health, is a negative mindset. And one thing that I learned many, many years ago, in fact, when I started practicing, and I wanted to start kind of changing my life from the angle of not just necessarily from a deen perspective, but from creating better habits and improving myself in terms of my character, because I had bad habits in Jahiliyyah, right? So I realized that in order to kind of excel at the deen, I need to kind of program my psychology and create better habits. So I read this book called Awaken the Giant Within. It's by a kafir, and I don't really like to promote these guys, but the book was phenomenal. We don't agree with everything that he says, but the book was good. And the whole book was basically about mindset. So I recommend you guys check out this book. So one of the things that the author mentions, he says that what he realizes that when it comes to success, it's only 20% mechanics. So 20% of the success of something is the mechanics. So for example, let's just say you want to seek knowledge. 20% of that, according to him, is gonna be the how, the path, how to actually seek knowledge, right? When you want to have a successful ad campaign for your business and you keep messing it up, well, only 20% of that is actually knowing how to run a successful ad campaign strategy. So what's the other 80%? Well, he says 80% is the mindset. Now, of course, he's not taking into account tawfiq from Allah, help and assistance and aid from Allah Azzawajal, and nothing moves, nothing shakes, nothing actually actualizes if it's not for Allah Azzawajal. But from the angle of taking the means, we're not talking about relying on Allah because that's a given. But from the angle of taking the means, he's saying when it comes to the means, 20% of the means, that's how I'm interpreting his statement, is actually how do I do this, the mechanics, but 80% is the mindset. So that hit me hard. That hit me very hard when he said that. And I realized that day that I have to have a very strong mind. My mind has to be optimistic. My mind has to be a mind that actually, with Allah Azzawajal's permission, doesn't have limiting beliefs. Doesn't have beliefs that make him feel that he's limited to this. And when you look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ, you notice that the Prophet ﷺ was like this. He didn't have these limiting beliefs. He had a very positive attitude and outlook on the world, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the example that I want to share with you was at the Battle of Ahzab. So just to paint the picture for you guys, this was a battle where an army came that was an army the size that the Muslims had never seen. 10,000 strong. Now just to give you an idea of how crazy that is, the inhabitants of Medina were only 2,000 people. So not the army of the Muslims, no, the army of the Muslims was much less than 2,000, but the entire population of Medina was 2,000 people. An army came where the soldiers with weapons, military, that were ready to kill and slaughter were larger than the size of the entire population of the Muslims, the women, the children, and the soldiers. By what? 5 times bigger. 5 times bigger. It was very scary. They brought the battle to the house of the Muslims. So this was a battle that Allah Azzawajal describes in the Quran. He says that the hearts of the Muslims had reached their throats. وَزُلْزِلُوا زِلْزَالًا شَدِيدًا. They were shaken. Like the earth shook beneath them. Not that the earth literally shook, but they were shaken. They felt like, very, very scared in the situation. So when all of this is happening, and the Prophet ﷺ is with his companions, and they're building a trench to guard the city of Medina from the enemies, there's one particular boulder that can't be broken, and the Muslims are trying to smash it, but they can't smash it. It doesn't break. Then the Messenger ﷺ comes, and what does he do? He says, Allahu Akbar, and he smashes the boulder. He hits it, and the Prophet says, Allah has shown me the palaces, the white palaces of the Persian Empire. Then the Prophet says again, Allahu Akbar, and he smashes it again for the second time. He says, Allah has shown me the palaces of the Romans, i.e. we've conquered them. Then he smashes it again for the third time, and the rock obliterates. And the Prophet ﷺ says, and Allah has shown me the red palaces, if I'm not mistaken, of Sana'a in Yemen. In other words, the Prophet was saying that we're about to conquer the Persians and the Romans, the great military superpowers at the time, and we're also going to conquer Yemen. Now, you have to understand the state in which the Prophet said this. The state was so severe that the Muslims didn't have food to eat. They were tying massive rocks around their waist to kind of hold in the pain. They were scared. They were petrified because the enemy was coming and was looking to wipe them out. But the Prophet ﷺ, look at the mindset he was teaching the Sahaba. Not necessarily the mindset, but because I don't want to use these terms and superimpose them on the Prophet ﷺ, because that's not correct either. But the Prophet was teaching them this. It is mindset, isn't it? The ulama, they call it ulu al-himma, high aspiration, and also good thoughts of Allah. That's what I want to mention here. Yeah, I don't like to use these words like mindset, but good thoughts of Allah. The kuffar, they call it mindset, but we're going to call it good thoughts of Allah. The Prophet was teaching them, have good thoughts of Allah, have high aspiration, have a positive attitude. Allah is going to give it to us. You know what? Allah has shown it to me. Now, the hypocrites that were there at the time, what did they do? They were like, this is Muhammad promising us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They didn't say, of course, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but we say, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is Muhammad promising us that we're going to conquer Rome and we're going to conquer Persia. And right here, we're too scared to even go and use the toilet. Right here, we're so scared that we're too scared to go and use the toilet. Yet he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is promising us these bold claims of Rome and Persia. And guess what the Sahaba said? It wasn't except just over a decade or so after, except that they saw exactly what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had prophesied. So the hypocrites always had that negative mindset of, come on, here we go again, I can't do it, we can't do it. No, it's because they had bad thoughts of Allah. Another ayah in Surah Ali Imran, Allah said, وَهَمَّتْهُمْ أَنفُسُهُمْ يَظُنُّونَ بِاللَّهِ غَيْرَ الْحَقِّ ظَنَّ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. The hypocrites, when it came to the battle of Uhud, they had bad thoughts of Allah. They were, number one, only thinking about themselves. They were only thinking and concerned about themselves. But they had bad thoughts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their mindset was nasty, it was negative, it was bad. Why? Why did they think? And they had these bad thoughts because they didn't have good thoughts of Allah Azzawajal. So guys, listen to me, yeah? Mindset is very important. The adhan is going on right now. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Listen, I'm going to cut the video short because the adhan is going now and I don't want to talk over the adhan. I don't want to talk over the adhan, so we're going to end it here inshallah ta'ala. What I do want to say is that if you have a mindset issue and you need some help working through it inshallah ta'ala, and you'd like someone to coach you on it, I'd be willing to do so. Recently, a lot of people have been asking me about coaching and one-on-one consultations. Click the link below. I have a form. I have very extremely limited spaces, and wallah, it's not just an attempt to kind of get you to make move and make action quickly. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. But truth be told, genuinely, see the calendar, there's not much space, and I'm happy to do a one-on-one consultation, help you get through your negative mindset situations that you may be suffering with, and help you overcome it inshallah ta'ala with the permission of Allah Azzawajal. If not, you guys can read the book Awaken the Giant Within, a couple other books that are out there as well. With that said, may Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.